checking in. This is the bodybuilding businessman and entrepreneur, Ryan McGough. This is Becoming with Ryan McGough, and thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the support. I don't necessarily like to put myself out there in a place where I just talk for a long period of time. I really don't. I'm much more of a worker. I'm much more of a reader, of a studier, of a learner. So being the center of attention is not necessarily my favorite thing. That's just the truth of it. Because I feel like when I'm talking or when I'm putting stuff out there, there's a level of needing to understand more and learn more. So never is anybody a pro to the degree where they never need to learn another thing. So talking in this kind of way always makes me examine myself to a really thorough degree. Am I the best at this? Should I be the person that's putting this out there? Should somebody else who's more qualified be doing it? But then I think back to the reason that I did it in the first place and the reason that I do it in the first place. And all of this really started when I was a couple different places. One, Atomic Habits that I read when I was starting my own business. So when I started my own business, it was telecom business because I had been in the telecom industry for a long period of time. So it was only an organic jump to go from director of a division of a company that didn't have a telecom division. So they hired me on, and I started that division for a year, wrote all their contracts, their documents, bid their projects, did the work, did the projects, did the engineering, did everything. It was kind of a setup job, but I took it because I wanted to learn everything from them and have somebody pay me to do it. And then once a year hit, we both were like, I think they were trying to get all of my documents and my contacts, and I was trying to get all the processes and everything down to starting my own company. And so we both were kind of pushing each other out right at the same time. So when I did that, started my own company, it was a very organic time to do it. It was a good jump. It was during COVID, so my family had insurance, all of that kind of stuff, right? It was very safe in that moment. I think my wife was even on unemployment. I could have got unemployment. I decided, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take that. I don't need that. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do and go start this company, whatever it takes. Burned all the bridges, to a degree. And I started calling, reaching out, getting my ass kicked on the phone, right? No, not interested. Definitely not. And it's the wildest thing because I think we all think, oh, I know these contacts, and they're good contacts. But I was with a company and they were with a company, right? And so there's other people, other players. So when I just reached out to some of those people, hey, remember how much you like my work and all that? Oh yeah, no, thank you very much. Nobody just drops everything and hires a new company on, and it's still sales. Like there still needs to be motivation to some degree for these companies to have some kind of pain with the contacts that they're using right now to do all of the new onboarding and all of that. So there is definitely a misconception in a lot of us that just think we're just going to go out and they're going to be so impressed with us that they're just going to take on that, give us all of these new projects. So it's never easy. It never was easy. I learned how to sell and I learned how to find motivation and a lot of those things, right? But I didn't learn it easily at all. I learned it through reading books. I learned it through all of the things that I talk about here in this podcast. Now, you could say that opportunity was not available. It was COVID, right? There's always a time. There's a time that there is no work and they're shutting buildings down and all of that, right? But real, true champions, true winners know that in the midst of down times and in the midst of any time, there's always a positive that you can take out of it. So was the opportunity squandered? Was it weak? Was I not, as experienced as I should have been or could have been, or if you put me up against big companies with big processes and insurances and all the things, right, would I lose? And yeah, absolutely, right? There's no question about that. But that's not that isn't anything that should hold anybody back ever, right? And that's the biggest thing about this entire podcast, and what the reason is and what the purpose is that there is always reasons why you shouldn't do something. But if you take some time, learn things, make an educated guess, and keep testing that hypothesis with work and effort, and if you do and carry, the faith of winning and succeeding, and the gratitude of you already getting that into the way that you work, and if you believe and bring the belief of success into your work while you're doing it, then nothing can be a failure, right? If more often do you succeed, if more often are you efficient 51% of the time, then you will be a success. If 49% of the time you are a success, if 30% of the time you're successful, 70% of the time you're unsuccessful, 70% of the time you're inefficient, 30%, then you're going to be a failure, right? It's just that simple. Like we have to act and do things in a certain way that when we're doing them, we have successes, efficiency, and productivity more often than not. Then those things are going to be a success. And it's a very simple equation. It's not rocket science. But doing things efficiently is not an easy process. So I got my ass kicked. I failed on the phone. I didn't do well. I didn't have a routine. I didn't have a process. I was inefficient in the beginning of starting a company. There was so many things to do. I didn't know which things to do first. So I read things like Atomic Habits, and they told me that everything is based off habits. To stack habits is a very efficient way to do things. And so I took that to heart. I did what the habit cheat sheet says, right? The things that are easiest to do are the ones that are closest to your face. Set reminders, set schedules, put things where, when you get up, wear your gym clothes so you can be ready to go to the gym, right? That's one of the things that I learned in there. And then I learned habit stacking, right? So I got up, I said, okay, well, I'm going to be and do something that I want to do, which is bodybuilding. So I'm going to sign up for that. I signed up for that competition. So once it was signed up, it was on paper. That's the model of the Spartan warrior, right? Is that once it's on paper, once you set that date, once you set that goal, you ink it down with a signature. Now it becomes real. Now your work and your energy drives your motivation to get up and do that thing, but only when it's real, when it's on paper. Do you do it? Do you set your goals up and set your intention to do it? So I set it on paper. Once it was on paper, now I was going to follow the process to be a bodybuilder, but I was going to habit stack the process to be successful in business and real estate at the same time. So what I did was I would get up, eat my lean breakfast, right? I would then go to the gym. After the gym, I would walk on the treadmill. While I was walking on the treadmill, I would make sales calls. Then I would hold that energy to walk right across the street in the parking lot, go to the Starbucks, and make more sales calls while the endorphins and the dopamines were going. And during that same process, or time and the processes of stacking habits, of eating right, of being on a really consistent diet of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, all that for my brain at the same time. I would then habit stack my cardio and my workouts and make sales calls right after that, when I was in a state of energy, high energy and high cognitive thought and all of that. And so that worked really well, and I carry that into today. Now, when I was in that process, I was also talk to people, hey, how do you get into real estate? What do you do? I was told Bigger Pockets, Real Estate Disruptors, some of those podcasts and that kind of stuff. And so I listened to a lot of those. The data is all over the place, but I found some small little segments of house flippers or construction-based people or all that. And so I learned and researched that at the same time while I was doing all that. Now, some of the things that I found in there were way more than just real estate investing, because we followed a process, what our process looked like. We found one or two people who were doing something that we wanted to do, right? Oh, get Redfin, build marketing processes and software. Here's the so we even learned the systems, the processes, some of the softwares, all that. Now we've changed and adapt our process since then, but it was a great place to start, and just taking all of that data and laser focusing in on one or two people who did what we did, and then going to their podcast and grabbing their information and following them and kind of learning a little bit more and deeper into it, right? So it's constantly more intentional and more focused arrow into this, and then dissect that, learn that, into this, dissect that, learn that. So that very much is that process that is a learning process and a process that taught me about that. But what happened inside of one of those podcasts was somebody was very focused on mindset and motivation, and they said one of the best ways that they started learning about how to focus their concentration and their brain and their attitude was, and even they're deep in real estate, they're successful, wholesaling, flipping, all of that, still to this day found it necessary, when I listened to it about 3 years ago, but found it necessary to shout out to the YouTube motivation channels. And so they said, I listen every day to a YouTube motivation channel, and I took that, and I took it to heart, and I started listening, and I just YouTube search motivation, right? And Eric Thomas popped up, David Goggins, all of your greats, right? Tony Robbins, all these guys, man. And I can't say that I was really in much of understanding them before I started listening, but the beautiful thing about the motivation tapes is that it will have a bunch, Les Brown, all of these, Jim Rohn, all of these guys in one specific video, and just like that, I would dissect those and jump into that person's and go on a Jim Rohn kick for a long time, and go on a Tony Robbins kick, and go on an Eric Thomas kick for a long time, and I could find all different things that I related to in each person. Now, here's the most beautiful part about the whole situation, right? If I put this content out, right, might get likes, dislikes, whatever, right? I might get thumbs up, I might get thumbs down. And now we're in a very interesting time period where we live in this almost back to the Roman Empire, where thumbs ups and thumbs downs, and right, and people think that they can build or destroy something with one flip of the like, right? Which is comical, truthfully, because I would also advise that the Romans in that were to choose if somebody would live or if somebody would die, right? And we can all put ourselves in these high chairs, the person on the pedestal that gets to choose whether somebody is liked or disliked or whatever the case may be, right? But here's the truth of it, right? One, nobody can choose whether I live or die. That's my only choice. That's only my choice, right? If I stop tomorrow, if I don't stop, that's up to me, right? And I was talking to somebody on Facebook who I respect and is in a high place in the real estate investing, and they were like, consistency is key. Just consistently do things, day in and day out, and that's how you become the one, you become the champion. And so nobody can choose whether I quit or I give up. That's for me only to choose. I get that I'm new to this. I'm not the best. I might not be the one who makes the most sense. My thoughts might be all over the place. I might mislabel my podcast episode 5, episode 4. I might get more dislikes than I get likes, right? I don't care. I don't care at all because of this one simple fact. If somebody told me or said to me through a podcast, I listen to a motivation video every day, right? And I listen to a motivation video when I get up, in my car, whatever the case may be. And I listened to a podcast for 30 minutes and they told me to do that. And I did that. And 5 years later, 3 years later, whatever, I'm now podcasting, real estate investing, owning a company in telecom and buying and selling businesses and in that stream of things, right? So through all of the content that I've used and consumed, which I, for one, have never disliked anything. If I dislike it, I would probably just skip the video and only watch like half of it. So the point is, if that value of 30 minutes changed the course of my life into posting and putting out content, and in doing that, by helping other people, I watched a 30-minute video that told me to do this, so I implemented this into my routine. Now I give this away, and one person hears it and then does the same thing too. Now, any likes, dislikes, anything in that whole process was worth it to me, because for me, the value of watching a 30-minute video was infinite to my life and what I made and how I succeeded by listening to that. And it even told me and gave me the hope that I could give it away and give it back to somebody else. And now I do this. I've given something to somebody else too, and they carry it on and they carry it to the next person. This 30-minute video, right, that somebody put out for free, that I can't even remember who it was that even said that, but it just happened to hit me in a time where I was in enough pain to go search for this motivation tapes, and what I found in there was something that taught me to strengthen my mind and strengthen myself and keep doing consistent actions and activities. That was an infinite return on my life, and it changed the course of my life forever, right? And it was the accumulation of all of these things that I heard. And the beautiful thing about it is it can get you to change your state and change your thoughts in a moment, when somebody is putting it there and it has the passion behind it and it has music behind it and all of that stuff. So one day I hope and believe that I can put content out there that can be remixed into these videos, and it can be life-changing to the course of someone's life, and that they can then give that away, and then they can give that away, and its return is infinite. And when you look at what it took, it could have even been a 45-second video. And a 45-second video, the cost of watching it was less than a minute, but its return on that investment was infinite into what it gave back to the crowds of people, to the person that then gave it back to somebody else, and gave it back to somebody else, that then gave it back to somebody else. So I think if we're going to talk about becoming anything, right, the process has to start with where we started in our process of wanting that to happen. Where we started in the opening of our mind to say, wow, maybe this is possible. Maybe something is here, and it might not be an instant thing, and people might not like it, and people might not watch it, and whatever the case may be for the long term, it's somewhere down the road. If I stay consistent with it, if I just don't listen to anybody that comes that wants to say something to be destructive, if I just keep my eyes on, if I help one person like I was helped, then the process continues. The process of good, the process of love, the process of light continues to spread and expand. And that is what makes it all worth it. And if one person can change someone, if one person can teach someone else something that helps them change the course of their life forever, then it is all worth it. 100%. right? And so first I have to believe that anyone can become anything else they choose. And any mind that can create a situation can uncreate a situation. Any mind that can create an obstacle can uncreate the obstacle. And one of my favorite quotes ever, and I say it all the time, is the mind that perceives the limitation is the limitation. So I'm not going to go all day, all on this. Just beware of the people sitting in the high throne of likes, dislikes, of judge, judge not. Just do what you say you're going to do day in and day out. Do not take your anger out for not being the person you should be on the world, because that's your choice, right? Don't blame others for not being where you want to be. Just get up and do it day in and day out. Stay consistent, okay? And know there are people that are operating at a far higher level than you are, looking at things through a total different lens than you are looking at them. And that's okay. You're just at the place you're at. But instead of getting mad for not being at the place you want to be, get up, go do the work. First think it, and then do the process of it with faith and gratitude, and act in a certain way and be more efficient in your processes than inefficient day in and day out. And you can accomplish, become, achieve whatever it is that you want. I'm at 150 grams of carbs and literally exhausted, and I'm doing 20 minutes of podcasting to you, but I don't have in my energy level the ability to bullshit. I truthfully don't. I'm straight to the point today. You can see these lines, if you're watching on YouTube, start to get really more pronounced. I'm down under 220 now, and I'm still here doing the things that I said I would do, because I said I would do them. And there might not be a result right now. There might not be a result tomorrow, but somewhere along the line of doing this thing, there will be effects of good for people in the future. And there may be one or two people that maybe just do something different than the stuff they had been doing and start to change their life for the better. So if I'm a catalyst for change for good, that's it, right? Then I've done what I said I was going to do. I've done what I hope to do, and I've done what somebody did for me in the past. And that ultimately is more powerful than anything else in my book. So this has been Becoming with Ryan McGough. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. I hope you got something out of it. You can be whoever you want to be. You can become whatever it is you want to become, but you have to realize that you're not there yet. We're not there yet. I'm not there yet. We all have some work to do, and we need to go find what that work looks like, and then do it. Just freaking do it. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. And if there's people that get in your way, then get away from those people, man, because nobody is worth stopping us from being and becoming who we should be and who we're supposed to be in our life, right? So get up, go do that big thing. Lose the fear and start becoming confident in yourself and your abilities. And first, before you do anything, believe it to the absolute core in your mind and in your heart, and then go act. Okay? Don't get stuck in the thought of research and that, and the content and consuming and all that. Consume what you need to consume, dissect that, find something within that, learn it, and then it's time to get to the table and go start doing it. And it's gonna suck and you're gonna fail, but fail forward, right? Fail and make mistakes that you can learn from, and just don't ever give up and stay consistent. And eventually you will look back and say, damn, look what I've accomplished. All right. This is Becoming with Ryan McGough. I appreciate all of you. Thank you guys for listening, and go do what you said you were going to go, and go do what you said you're going to go do, and go be who you're supposed to be.